Hello and welcome to Geeks Assembled. And today we are going to be talking about a handmade film by by Terry Gilliam and Michael Palin, who wrote it together. It is The Time Bandits from, I think it was 1981, this one. Surreal, fantastical sort of movie. You don't know where it's going to go from one scene to the other. So, no further to do. We'll go to Beef Dad and we'll go for his opening thoughts on The Time Bandits.
I remember seeing this when it first came out. I loved it then. Ian Holm as Napoleon Bonaparte was just brilliant. He really just had an absolute ball with it. John Cleese playing Robin Hood just absolutely creased me up. Sean Connery as Agamemnon, yeah. Wow, he was really cool. And of course, you had the ogres on board the ship. Peter Vaughan was one of them, sadly no longer with us. And Catherine Hellman, who was a big star in America at the time because she was doing a television series called Soap. And she sort of played the matriarch in that. And she was brilliant. She was brilliantly funny, and she was great as the as Mrs. Ogre. But the Time Bandits themselves are just amazing, and the way they kidnap young Kevin, and he goes off on travels with them through time and everything, using the map that they nicked from the Supreme Being. And then, of course, you've got the evil one. And he was played by David Warner. And he was so sinister and unpleasant in this. He obviously was really enjoying being unpleasant and sinister. And he did it so well. And, of course, on the Titanic and also in medieval England, you had a couple in love, and both times it was the same two people, and the girl was Shelley Duvall, and I will always remember Shelley Duvall for playing Olive Oil in Popeye the film. But yeah, I will always remember the one thing that totally blew my mind on it. I mean, I'm not mentioning Jim Broadbent as the compare because it really was a nothing part for him. And he didn't really have anything to do very much. But Sir Ralph Richardson playing God at the very end was just absolutely amazing. Loved it. I remember when it happened in the film, I just sat there with my mouth hanging open. But yeah, the actual bandits themselves, a bunch of dwarves who, as I say, have stolen this map and are going around robbing people through time. And they are brilliant. I mean, Kenny Baker playing Fidget. David Rappaport played Randall. Let's see, who else? Jack Purvis played Wally. Mike Edmonds was Og. Yeah? Was he one of the bandits? I can't remember. Malcolm Dixon as Strutter. He was great. But yeah, they were all so good. Everybody in this was good. It's a very entertaining film. There's lots of humour. The special effects are excellent, and it's not slow. It doesn't start slow, and it doesn't finish slow. It's just absolutely excellent.
So that is that your opening thoughts then, Beef Dad?
What about?
Jolly good. We'll swiftly over to the two people on the sofa, Alex and Susan.
That's us. Here's Alex.
Yeah, actually, I know a lot of people that do love this movie. I don't. I understand that there's David Warner and of course some of the people from Monty Python, and you also have Katherine Hellman, who was in Soap and Who's the Boss. So that was pretty much her resume in the '80s when she wasn't in a Terry Gilliam film. Yeah, I mean, for 1981, it was very adventurous and fast, but I just barely like it. It does remind me of the other movies like Labyrinth and um, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen and those type of things. But I do like Labyrinth. Um, but yeah, the other movies I'm not a big fan of. I try not to be a big fantasy fan. I like science fiction or science fiction allegories or things like that. That's more what I'm into. Um, but yeah, there's a huge fan base for this. It is a cult film. And like I said, there was many other, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Baron Munchausen, Eric the Viking. There was a lot of similar, and some of the stars were in that. David Bowie was in Labyrinth, and I don't know, they didn't use any Jim Henson Muppets or whatever or puppets for this one, but there were other movies that in the '80s that they had it. So if it helped with that, with making those movies and all that, it is good. I do like Monty Python usually, and of course, yeah, that was pretty funny with John Cleese as Robin Hood. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the movie, and even I didn't like the fact that the parents got killed or kind of disappeared at the end. Spoilers. It was funny that Sean Connery was also in it, but then he was, what was it, 5 or 6? Well, no, probably 10 years later, he was in another movie, the movie version of the Avengers, the British Avengers, not the Marvel Avengers. But yeah, it is a good movie. It just doesn't appeal to me.
But Sean Connery played the fireman at the end, and so that was really brilliant. I love this movie. I'm a very happy person that we are reviewing this today. Shelley Duvall and Michael Palin are perfect in it, and I love the humor. I love the adventure. I love the fact that a kid gets taken out of his home and he's not sad anymore, and he's suddenly like on an adventure. And Napoleon was hilarious, especially when he was so enamored with the littler people than himself. I thought that was just, Ian Holm nailed that, nailed it. And then there was, I enjoyed the bits with Robin Hood too. I thought it was hilarious that after giving the poor people a little trinket or something, they'd all get a slug in the jaw from the guy who was completely undecipherable, inaudible English or something. I don't know. Anyway, he had this really thick accent and really thick thing. Anyway, so I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the bits with I enjoyed the bits with the ogres also. Um, Phenomenal Catherine Hellman. I love her in Brazil. She's not the only one who's in the Brazil. Also, the ogre was in Brazil, and other people. There was a lot of crossovers with the great other Terry Gilliam films. Some of the older people in the crowd were obviously the same older people that were in some of the Monty Python movies or the Crimson Assurance or whatever. I I really enjoy this, and I always felt like I needed the map myself at some points. That I really needed to run away with the Time Bandits. And David Rappaport was such a great actor. Um, he was in The Young Ones. I know, Beef Dad. You know all of the young ones, and you're really, really awesome because you know all of the young ones. But anyway, so was David Rappaport was in The Young Ones. Wow, yeah. And he was in Time Bandits, just so you know. He played Randall, who was great. And Kenny Baker, we're going to miss him forever and ever. Jimmy V's doing a job that is hard to replace, but literally, Fidget was adorable, and he died at the end, and so and Mom and Dad being used by the evil one in their sparklies to be like game show people, quiz show people. That was hilarious too. Anyway, those are my moments, and I went ahead, but anyway, that's my opening thoughts and my favorite moments. Okay, over to you guys.
Jolly good. Terry Gilliam for me is sort of similar to Tim Burton. He uses the same actors because he's used to using them. Why break it if it's not fixed? And that's why you see so many familiar faces in Terry Gilliam films, and you do in Tim Burton films. But Gilliam has referred to this Time Bandits movie as the first in his trilogy of imagination, with the others being Brazil and the Adventures of Baron Munchausen. So he calls it his first in the trilogy of those films. It's such. I remember seeing this when what was it? Now I was 11. I saw this, and it's still. I say it's been a few years since I've seen it. I watched it yesterday, rewatched it. It's still wonderful to watch. It's still funny. It's the dwarfs just brilliantly. Them roles just suited each and every one. The personality of each dwarf was brilliant. I said Paul will be sorely missed. I mean, he committed suicide back in 1990, which scuppered Terry Gilliam's plans of doing the sequel, which he was planning to do. But sorely missed actor there. And say Kenny Baker is sorely missed as well. It's the sets as well. Terry Gilliam puts his heart and soul into making movies. Some movies don't even see the light of day with Terry Gilliam, but this one, actually did. And the sets are just marvelous, and the settings and the locations. It was filmed in Morocco, it was filmed in England, and it was filmed in Wales. Go figure which part was in Wales. And mostly the rainy bits, but
and the Grecian bit was in Morocco.
Morocco, yeah, it was. But it was just surprising to see, Sean Connery pop up, in the ancient Greece part, and David Warner playing evil, so over the top as to be just loving the part with his sidekicks, Benson and I can't remember the one. Is it Derek Deadman who played the one with the horn in the middle of his head? Just brilliant the way he was saying that, and they were saying, "Oh, thank you, sir, thank you. Yes, you can beat me till I'm red raw," stuff like that. But it's brilliant, brilliant the way they were played off each other. But yeah, David Warner for me.
The one with the horn,
Pardon? Robert, yeah, it was Robert and Benson. Yeah, that was it. So David Warner he made it for me as well. Just pure evil. He knows how to play a bad guy. And as Beef said, Ralph Friedman popping up at the end as the Supreme Being. You wouldn't expect that. Yeah, it's a very dark ending, as it's been mentioned. Kevin's left there all alone. The firemen bugger off. He just stood there in his garden. His mum and dad have just been blown to bits, and that's where the film finishes. A very dark ending. I mean, for me, an 11-year-old kid watching this back in 1981. Whoa.
That was what Alex said.
Yeah. Whoa. But that's Terry Gilliam's imagination. It's brilliantly put together. I mean, who would expect? You know, you're on a sailing ship, and all of a sudden, it's a hat worn by a giant. You know, straight out of his head. Yeah, it's brilliant, and also you've got to thank George Harrison as well for the handmade films, because if it wasn't for George Harrison, most of Terry Gilliam's films, Monty Python's films, would never have got made. So acknowledge George Harrison, and he did a brilliant play-out track at the credits as well. That was a brilliant song. So, seeing as there's only a few of us here, I'll just open the floor now. It's all having wag about it. So, anybody who wants to have a little put in their piece now?
The drugs being funneled into that little spindle and jabbed into his head after they ripped up the hull of the ship to get at the head of the giant. I mean, that was hilarious.
You say you were 11 when it came out?
Yes.
God, I wish I'd been 11 when it came out.
Oh.
I was 33.
And did the ending shock you as well?
It was a bit of a surprise. It didn't shock me.
It's not the way you want a film to end, is it? Really, but
no. But what I did enjoy was the dwarves in the theatre where they were entertaining. Where they were entertaining Napoleon, singing "Me and My Shadow." I'm belting each other every 5 minutes. That was just so funny. I creased up watching that.
Yeah, as you've all mentioned, Ian Holmes as Napoleon, his fixation of smaller people than him. I mean, that scene where they're sat at the table and he's just saying the heights of famous people before he falls asleep with the alcohol.
Mm.
Just a brilliant little scene like that, but he pulls it off so well. Brilliant. There's so many good actors in this. As you say, you mentioned I always call him Grouty, but Peter Vaughan. But he'll ever be forever known for Grouty, won't he? But Peter Vaughan was a brilliant actor, and he played the ogre so well with his bad back. I mean, that scene as well. In the galley in the ship, you see all the feet hanging off the. Just the sets are just wonderful.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that's one of the marvelous things about Terry Gilliam. He had that incredible imagination.
Oh yeah.
One of his talents as a filmmaker was being able to take his imagination and make it real.
And budget.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliantly clever. Brilliantly clever. I loved Jabberwocky when that came out. That was
yes,
very underrated film.
Yeah.
Yes, Terry Gilliam has done the most amazing movies, I think.
Yeah.
it's from pure imagination. It's so surreal. It's what you use your mind for.
Yeah. So I guess that the child will be adopted by the firemen because that was what was happening. You know, that was
Wow.
that's where I like to think of it ending. I don't know. Kevin was cool. He was, erudite. He was, eloquent. He could speak. He was a good photographer with all those Polaroids.
Yeah, I mean, you've also got to sit with Kevin's parents as well, David Dacre and I forgot her name now.
Sheila Fern.
Sheila Fern, yeah, from George and Mildred. But those scenes, just in the living room, the sofa's covered in plastic, the brand new food mixers, the microwaves, all the digital stuff. It was this was the beginning of the 80s. This was when all this was happening. And what did evil want to understand? Computers, digital watches to take over the world. You know what I mean? But nowadays, what is it? You don't need all that, do you, to take over the world? You just need to become the president of America. Ooh, bit political there. But anything else anybody wants to say on the matter?
Nope.
No? Right, we'll go then to final say and score then. I told you this one will be a quickie. So, Alex and Susan. Oh, yes. What, is that just a normal DVD, is it, Susan?
Yes, this is just a normal one, but I just wanted to show the pictures of other parts of the story. There's the evil one.
Yeah, there's my evil one.
Right.
My evil one.
Nice.
Yeah, the same picture.
Anyway, David Warner, Michael Palin, Shelley Duvall, Katherine Hellman, Ian Holm, Sean Connery. The fact that the cast is so rich and so amazing. I'm not going to mention everybody, but for all of that and for how delightful the movie is to me, I will give it 15 portals out of 10.
15 portals, wow.
Yeah, like I said, it does have a great cast. I understand what it's trying to do. I just don't like it. But like I said, it has a lot of famous people in it. I guess it's just either the structure of the story or whichever. But I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people that love this movie, even if they don't usually like British stuff. So I guess I have to give it credit for that. And it was $5 million to make, and they had to mortgage a couple of buildings, but it was $5 million, and they made $41 million. So there you go. Even for a cult movie, it did pretty good. And I'll give it a 7, but like I said, it's not one of my favorites. So.
Thank you, Alex. And over to Beef Dad.
Well, oh yes.
Yes. Jolly good.
As has been said, an absolutely stellar cast. Brilliant settings, brilliant costuming. Nobody has mentioned the hanging cages. Where they were kept in the Dark Castle, the Dark Fortress, is it? Yeah, Dark Fortress. That seems absolutely brilliant. The maze was brilliant. I can't find anything wrong with this. It gave me so much joy then. It gives me so much joy now. So I think I'll go along with Susan. One, I'll give it 15 windows out of the map.
Right. Okay. Well, like I said, I agree with everybody apart from Alex because I do like the movie. Yeah, it brought back some brilliant memories of watching it way back then. David Warner can't do any wrong for me. He knows how to ham it up as a villain. It's gonna be 15 infinite pieces of evil. So beat that one. Don't touch it. So I'd just like to say thank you guys for being in this little small cast today. And we'll penalise the other guys when we see them next. So we'll take away their pocket money.
Well, we can poke Alid with the biro.
Oh no, you're not a biro. A sharp stick would be a lot better. But we don't condone violence in this group. No. Oh, you've joined the wrong group, Eve-Tan. but don't get me going. But that's what I like to say. Please, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up or give us a thumbs down or whatever. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think of this movie. If you've seen it or if you like to see it, just let us know. You can follow us on Twitter at Geeks Assembled. We've got a Tumblr. We've got our public Facebook group where anyone can join. We're always after suggestions for movies, TV shows, new and old, what we can talk about. We also do audio heads, where we discuss audio dramas, of course. That's what it's called, audio heads. And please, if you think you could fit in with this group of people and talk insanely for, say, 20 minutes about a subject, join us. Because we are looking for new faces. Because some of the ones we've got are looking a bit old, haggard, to be honest. I'm naming no names, Alid Williams, but I think on that note, I think we should stop it there, Susan. Because if I carry on, I'll be digging a bigger hole, and Alid's going to take it out on me next time, isn't he?